All right, so the country I chose to present is Sweden. And the absolute location, these are Al's stones, and they're found in Österlen, and right underneath Österlen is the village of Kaseberga. So for relative location, Sweden is found in northern Europe, and to the west is Norway, and to the east is Finland. And they have water access on the east with the Gulf of Bothnia and also the Baltic Sea. And they have little access to the Atlantic Ocean around this area. So for physical place, as you can see, in the north, the mountains are on the northwest side, and as it slowly comes southeast, it gets lower to sea level, and more people live down here because it's very hard to live up in the mountainous regions. So for human history, Sweden is very well known for having Vikings, and the Vikings were very well known for their shipmaking. And a couple hundred years later, the ship of Vasa was made, and it's very funny because the Vikings are very well known for their ship making, and the most well-known ship in all of Sweden actually sunk 20 minutes into the voyage, and that's what the Vasa is. That's the replica of it. And so society today, they're very well known for their cuisine, and these are called cannabolis, and they're basically cinnamon rolls that are filled with jam, and whew, I really want one. They look really good. And these are the Swedish meatballs that everybody knows Sweden is for. And funny story about these is that the King of Sweden, around 1600s, King Charles VII, actually stole this recipe from Turkey because he loved it so much, and it became a really big thing in Sweden. And these are the midsummer events that are held in Dalarna, which is around where the mountains end, and very populated area. And these events are known for their singing and dancing and just dressing up in old-fashioned Swedish attire and just cool stuff like that. And they make these floral headdresses that all the girls wear, and it's just a really cool event. And yeah, where they sing and dance and just have a good time with the people of their country. And Sweden's also a very, very good place to live because it's in the top 10 happiest countries in the world. It is in the top 10 healthiest countries in the world. And it's part of the top 10 of the most eco-friendly countries. And Sweden is very well known for their sports like hockey and soccer. This is Carl Grundstrom, and he is well known for scoring 2 goals last year against Canada to get them bronze place in the IIHF championship. And this is Sweden's men's soccer team. This guy up here, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, he's one of the best Swedish players of all time, but you know, the men's team doesn't have that many accomplishments besides just World Cup appearances and Euro appearances. But the women's team is the last 2 Olympic events, they actually have gotten silver medals, which is very impressive. So for the regions, of course, Scandinavia, where Norway, Finland, Iceland, and Denmark are, and of course, Sweden. And these are all the regions of Sweden. And as you can see, the population up north is very low, and as it comes down, where the cold and the mountains start to end, in the south where the warmer weather is, not warm, but warmer weather, more people start to live, and especially close to the water, like right here and right down there, most people live. And so for movement, Sweden around 1638 came to America and called it New Sweden, and they only had it for about 20 years for when the Dutch took it over, but that's how the majority of Swedish people came to America, and they also settled in Florida, and they came from the Canary Islands. So America is one of the most populated places of Swedish people besides Sweden. And as you can see, like, they like the north because it's cold. That's what they're used to, I guess. And Minnesota is actually one of the most populated places for Swedish people. And Minnesota, 7% or over 7% of Minnesota has Swedish people, which is very cool. And so for more movement, they move petroleum all over the place. They actually get it from the Baltic region. This country, or not this country, this company, Svenska, travels around the Baltic region just getting petroleum, and they export it out of Sweden, and they export it to places like Norway, Finland, Denmark, and the USA, which is very cool. And so for human environmental interaction, Sweden focuses on good human health, and they decrease carbon emissions, and they work hard to recover the ecosystems. So we all know Greta Thunberg. She is one of the most known people in Sweden that actually work to help the ecosystem. And we are working in Sweden to decrease fossil fuels. And they do this by having a carbon tax. And the carbon tax, it reduces the purchase of fossil fuels, and it promotes cleaner options. And one of those options is electric cars, and Sweden is very big on electric cars. And they're also very big on recycling, as you can see here. For glass, plastic, and paper, they all expect more and more recycling to come out of it, but sadly not for aluminum. They expect aluminum to decrease, so hopefully they can get to work on that. But yeah, thank you for listening to my presentation about Sweden.